Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel Glow Gossip. If you haven't watched my last video in which I explored the stunning Liberty State Park in New York and shared my experience of traveling alone as a 13-year-old, make sure to check it out to catch up. In today's video, we have got an exciting day planned. We're heading towards Eskişehir in Turkey and I can't wait to explore the magical fairy tale castle park. We'll be checking out the Grand Castle, exploring a cool ship and doing a bit of shopping for some unique souvenirs. And then diving into the history of a local museum. After all that exploring, we'll grab some delicious food because we'll definitely be hungry. And finally, we'll stroll through one of the most famous spots in the city with beautiful old houses and amazing streets before heading to our hotel for the night. So let's get started on this new adventure. Okay, so we're kicking off our day in the magical fairy tale castle park. And guess what, I just stumbled upon a gigantic recycling bin. Let's chat a bit about recycling because it's super important. Recycling is really important since it helps save our planet by cutting down waste and saving resources. This bin is seriously impressive. It's huge and separate sections for things like metal, glass, and more. The labels are written in Turkish, which is really neat to see. Just a reminder, every little action counts, so always try to recycle whenever you can. Okay, so I can see the castle peeking through the trees, and this is the main entrance, so let's go in. Wow, it's so peaceful here in the garden. There's something super calming about being surrounded by nature, right? The air is fresh, the birds are singing, and the whole place just feels so chill. I love how clean and well kept everything is. You can totally see the effort that goes into keeping this place so beautiful. It's the perfect spot to relax and take in all the natural beauty around us. I could totally spend hours just enjoying the sights and sounds. It's such an awesome way to start the day. I love how the trees and the plants are so lush and vibrant. The gardeners have done an amazing job with the landscapes. Every flower bed is bursting with color, and there are just so many different kinds of plants to admire. The pathways are clean and inviting, winding through the garden and leading to little hide spots where you can just sit and soak in the beauty. Being in a place like this really makes you appreciate how important it is to take care of nature. It reminds you of how crucial it is to keep our environment clean and healthy. This place is away from all the noise and the rush of daily life, a place where you can breathe deeply and feel peaceful, surrounded by the beauty of nature. This garden is truly a gem, and I feel so lucky to be here. As we walked through the garden, we kept seeing these super cute playgrounds everywhere. Every few minutes, there'd be another spot for swings, slides, and all the usual playground stuff for kids. It was so nice to see that every part of the garden had something for kids. These playgrounds gave kids a fun place to play and made their garden feel lively and happy. It's awesome to see a place designated so well, making sure families can enjoy nature while kids get to be active and have a great time. So guys, we have got the tickets and not gonna lie, the prices are pretty affordable. And now let's explore the castle. So guys, we have just entered and as you can see, there's like a checkpoint where you have to scan the tickets. So now let's go in. Entering the castle was like stepping into a whole new world. That totally enchanted me. As soon as I walked through the doorway, these massive stone walls surrounded me. In the castle, me and my little brother stumbled upon this super cool game set on the side of an old wall. This game was totally unique. It didn't use any words. Instead, it had these really detailed drawings that showed famous stories. Our challenge was to figure out which story they were. It was like a test of how much we knew about stories and how well we could spot details. We were both so into it, we checked out each drawing really carefully, trying to match up the characters and the scenes with stories we knew. My little brother was going all excited and pointed out stories that he remembered. I couldn't resist. I peeked under the cover to see if he was right. When we guessed right, we felt awesome. I would carefully lift the cover to reveal the name of the story and more details about it. It was like a game rewarded us for being smart and knowing our stuff. Plus, it made us appreciate all the cool stories that were a part of this castle's history. As we played, we laughed a bunch and had fun debating which story it was. It was a friendly competition between us, and we loved every minute of it. There were stories like the Red Riding Hood and the Hansel and Gretel, a lot of iconic stories. Inside the castle, we stumbled upon something totally unexpected, an optical illusion scattered all over the floor. One of them really caught out my eye. It totally felt like we were walking on the edge of this crazy wobbly bridge. Depending on how you looked at it, it seriously seemed like there was this huge deep gap under us, making us super careful with every step. Then we also found Cinderella and her carriage, so I decided why not check it out and how it feels to be a princess or something. And then right opposite to it was Rapunzel's tower, which is super cute. And then there were also these little Rapunzels climbing up the big Rapunzel's hair. Yeah, kinda sounds weird. So now let's go up the stairs. Ascending to the second floor felt like stepping into a storybook brought to life. There we found collections of fascinating characters waiting to be captured in photographs. These figurines weren't just statues or paintings. They were queens and kings and even some villains. It was kind of like stepping back through time, and we couldn't resist posing beside them, imagining ourselves as a part of their loyal court or embarking on daring adventures. After goofing around with the characters, we went up on the terrace and wow, the view was magical. From up there, we could see everything, the greenery, the pathways, and it was totally the best view of the day. We were totally mesmerized by the view. We hung out there at the terrace for a while, soaking in the chilly vibes and checking out all the cool details of the castle. It was the perfect day to just chill and think about stuff, you know. And every now and then we'd be like, whoa, as we spotted something new and awesome. After soaking in all the amazing views from the terrace, we headed straight towards the gift shop, and oh my gosh, it was like stepping into a wonderland of treasures. There were these super cute little gobbles decorated with characters straight out of storybooks. Each gobble was like its own tiny world, and they had totally sparkled our imagination right away. And then we just had to check out these magnets. And those magnets, their designs were so vivid. Some showed scenes from the castle grounds with knights riding horses and those amazing things reaching up the sky. Others featured nearby landmarks and the natural wonders. Each was telling its own little story. Choosing was tough, but eventually we settled on a few that really captured the spirit of our visit. As we got out of the gift shop, there was also this big globe which had like the model of the castle. Amazing! So guys, I had a lot of fun here, but now we're going to visit some other places. Let's go! This was the first thing on our list, and there's still a lot to do, so we have to keep going. After our super fun time exploring the castle, we were so pumped to head over to the pirate ship nearby. We rushed to the ticket booth, grabbed our tickets, and made our way to the ship. The pirate ship was huge and looked totally epic in the water. As we got closer, we had to stop and snap some pics with these awesome pirate statues at the entrance. They were dressed up like real pirates, and it really got us excited for the adventure ahead. So as we got closer, we saw this super long and strong bridge that led straight towards the ship. Hanging over the water, the bridge itself was such a sight, kinda swaying with every step we took, making it even more exciting before we even got to the ship. We couldn't wait to cross, feeling more pumped with every step we took, while the water below made everything feel so much thrilling. Once we stepped into the ship, it was like walking into a whole different world. The first thing we noticed was this amazing design and all these tiny details. The wooden planks under our feet made this really authentic cracking sound, and the smell of salt water mixed with the old wood gave this totally immersive vibe. We stopped for a bit to take it all in. While exploring the main deck, we also stumbled upon this room, which looked like where the pirate would have like a meeting with his crew. There were these big table, maps, and all kind of stuff. It was amazing to think about all the important talks and plans that must have happened there. From that room, we could also go down to the lower deck, adding even more fun to our adventure. Going down below the deck, everything felt super different. The lights were dim and the hallways were tight, making it feel kinda spooky and mysterious. The small spaces were packed with stuff that pirates would need, showing us how tough their lives were in those long trips. Exploring the ship's basement was really interesting, but I couldn't picture myself living in such a compact and dark space for a long time. It was totally different from the wide open deck above, where everything felt more free and airy. Back on the main deck, we found this super fun part, a life-sized mannequin of a pirate captain. At the steering wheel, my little brother had to strike a pose just like the pirate and made some hilarious pictures. And then we were immediately drawn towards this massive steering wheel. It was kind of like begging us to take control and steer the ship ourselves. We all took turns pretending to navigate through the rough seas, laughing like crazy and imagining we were brave captains. The ship deck was so well done with all these little details that made it easy to forget that we were in a park and not in a real pirate adventure. The sounds of the water gentle hitting the ship made it feel so real. We literally spent ages exploring every part of the ship, but finally we left the ship still buzzing with excitement from our adventure. The pirate ship had been an amazing experience, full of fun, laughter, and a bit of spooky exploration. It was a perfect addition to our day at the castle. And as we walked away, we couldn't stop talking about all the awesome things that we had just seen and done. While exploring the park, we also found these places where you could make Instagram-worthy pictures. As we decided to leave the park, we stumbled upon this super cute little market area that totally grabbed our attention. The place was bursting with vibrant magnets and mugs featuring city's landmark. Each one was more charming than the last. The displays were so eye-catching that we just had to stop and check everything out. There was just so much variety, colorful magnets with different landmarks and fun designs. It felt like each item was telling its own story, and we found ourselves happily lost in the delightful mess of choices. It was like a treasure hunt with something new at every exciting turn. And the mugs had like these important landmarks from the city. To our surprise and delight, the pieces here were way more reasonable than those at the castle. The castle's gift shop had this fancy vibe and the prices to match, but this little market had the same charms for way less. After grabbing our magnets and mugs, we checked out the rest of the market. There was this lovely section for jewelry and other cute things that immediately caught our eyes. The stalls were filled with beautiful necklaces, bracelets, and earrings. Each piece looked like it was made with a lot of care. After that, we decided it was the perfect way to end our visit over here, and we left the park with big smiles and a few new treasures in our bags. Okay, so after checking out the market and finding some super cool souvenirs, we stumbled upon this place called Sazova Park Turkish World Museum, which was literally nearby. The name totally got us curious, so we decided to check it out and see what it is all about. Turns out the museum was like an amazing mix of science, history, and culture, all rolled into one. They had these interactive exhibits and displays that showed off the Turkish world's really cool heritage. Every corner we turned, there was something new and interesting to see. It was a great way to keep our day going, you know. We were learning so much and having a blast exploring everything. It totally added this extra layer of adventure on our day in Eskişehir. Okay, so as you stepped into the museum, there were these wax figures, like super detailed, looked totally real, you know. They were all about showing off different famous people from the history. Each figure was so lifelike, it felt like they could just start talking or something. You could even get so up close, which was pretty mind-blowing. The max material used to make them, it felt like you could reach out and touch history itself, making the whole experience really immersive and unforgettable. It was like diving right into the past, right there in the museum exhibits. Okay, so let's chat a bit about Kadizade Rome, also known as Kadizade Mehmed. He was one of the major Ottoman scholars and theologians in the 16th century. He was really into tradition, Islamic techniques, and didn't like any fancy philosophy ideas. Kadizade Rome focused on following Sharia law and wasn't open to new religious practices. His talks and writings often sparked big decisions among smart people of his era. He made a big impact on religious conversation during the Ottoman times. This museum is totally breathtaking. There's this massive dome that's like the heart of the park. Inside the dome is where all the magic happens at the museum. And get this, it's not just any dome. It's designed in such a way that when you step inside, you're greeted in a vast open space that feels really grand. What makes it super special are these cool red tinted windows that cover the dome. They let in some warm reddish light that totally sets the mood. It's not just about the displays and the exhibits, although they're super awesome too, but the whole setup is like stepping into a different world. The way the natural light plays through those windows gives everything a kind of depth and beauty that makes you want to stay and soak it all in. And hey, it's not just about looking pretty either. The designs of the museum actually helps make the exhibit stand out. It's like they have thought of everything to make sure you get the full experience. So when you're there, you're not just seeing artifacts and stuff. You're really getting into the Turkish history and culture. Overall, it's not just a museum, it's an experience, whether you're into history, culture, or just appreciate a cool, fascinating space. This place ticks all the boxes. Trust me, you have got to check it out whenever you come around Eskişehir. Okay, so inside of the museum, they have got these super interesting sections with wax figures of historical people. Some of those figures were designed to hold pencils, which is pretty cool, right? But when I took a closer look, I noticed something odd. They weren't holding the pencils quite right. It got me curious, so I gently adjusted their fingers to make it look like more natural, like how a real person would hold the pencil. Touching their fingers was so unexpected. The wax felt kind of wobbly and soft, almost like a human skin, but with this weird fake kind of vibe. Even though they looked so real, feeling them was totally strange and reminded me they're just really well made replicas, not actual living beings. But you know what? It totally added the whole vibe of museum. It made the whole experience more immersive and educational. It was like you get to interact with history in this cool, unforgettable way that makes you think about what life was back then. Hey, so have you ever heard about Jabir bin Hayyan? He was a super important dude during the Islamic Golden Age, which was like way back in the 18th century in what's now Iran. And yes, this room is dedicated to him, so let's check it out. Jabir bin Hayyan wasn't just into one thing, he was all about chemistry, philosophy, and much more. He basically led the groundwork of a bunch of chemical processes that we still use today. His writings are crazy extensive, covering tons of scientific and philosophical stuff. They were a big deal back then, shaping how people thought about science both in the Islamic world and the European during the Middle Ages. Jabir bin Hayyan totally set the stage of what we know now, cell experimental chemistry. So yeah, his name is pretty big deal in the history of science because of all the groundbreaking stuff he did. Okay, so this room is dedicated to Ibn Sina, so let me tell you a bit about him too. Okay, so he was a super smart Persian guy who lived during the Islamic Golden Age. He was born in 980 CE near Bukhara, which is now Uzbekistan. Ibn Sina did a lot of amazing stuff in many different areas like medicine, philosophy, astronomy, and theology. His most famous book is the Canon of Medicine, which is like a giant medical encyclopedia. This book was used as a standard textbook for doctors in Europe and the Islamic world for many years. Besides medicine, his writing on philosophy were also really important. Ibn Sina came up with a systematic way to study medicine that focused on observing and experimenting. This method was a big deal because it helped develop what we now call the evidence-based medicine. His influence didn't stop with his death. It kept shaping the medieval Islamic world and even the European residents. Today, people still celebrate Ibn Sina as a key figure in the history for both medical and philosophy. This area with the wax figures was absolutely fascinating. I learned so much about historical figures. It was super cool to experience history in such an interactive way. Seeing these lifelike mannequins up so close, each figure told a story that brought history to life in a way that books alone can't. Touching the figures and seeing them in their historical context made the experience even more memorable. Now let's move on to the next part of the museum and see what other amazing exhibits awaits us. As we step away from the wax figures, we head into this totally cool new spot, the Music History Lounge. When I walk in, the first thing that hits me is how it is packed with all sorts of instruments. The walls are lined up with these glass cases showing off instruments from all over the world and different time. It's like overwhelming in the best way ever. The Music History Lounge is super cool. There's so much to learn about all different kinds of musical instruments and how they have evolved. It's a reminder of how music is its own language that connects everyone, no matter where they're from or where they live. This exhibit is basically a goldmine for musical history, and I feel super lucky to have gotten to experience it. Now let's keep moving and see what other awesome stuff this museum has to offer for us. Okay, so in the museum there is also the section all about science, culture and arts. There were tons of super interesting cultural artifacts on display. We got to check out the traditional outfits from all sorts of time periods and places, seeing how people rocked their style back in the day. This totally gave us a peek into how people lived and what they thought of style. Okay, so after we were done with the museum, we ended up in this local Turkish restaurant nearby. We were totally hungry, and when we saw they had pulao and grilled chicken on the menu, we were sold. The chicken smelled incredible with all those spices they used, and the restaurant itself was cozy and lively, full of locals chatting away and digging into their meals. It gave off such a warm vibe that made the whole experience even better. So we were just walking around, right, and suddenly, bam, we found ourselves standing in front of this Odunpazarı Modern Museum. And let me just say, it was like something out of science fiction movie, super sleek and modern, with all these funky angles. Honestly, it gave off major futuristic vibes that got us all excited. But then, here comes a twist of fate. Bummer alert! Turns out it was closed that day. Can you believe it? Instead of being let down, though, we decided to make the most of it. We started strolling around the museum grounds, soaking in the architecture and snapping tons of pics. Every corner was so photogenic. After that, we made our way back to the car and started heading towards these really old wooden houses that are super heritage. They're like these amazing pieces of Turkey's history and culture, just standing there and watching time go by. Each house has this crazy detailed wooden architecture and old school design that totally takes you back in time. Walking through the narrow streets surrounded by these ancient buildings, you can really sense the stories they hold from back in the day. It was such a peaceful and eye-opening experience getting to soak in all the heritage and culture that's been kept alive in these cute wooden houses. Each one has its own story to tell, and being there just made you feel connected to the past in such a cool way. As we hopped out of the car, we were met with these super cute rows of shops all nested in these adorable wooden houses. Straight out of a storybook, each shop had its own vibe going on, like they were all completed to be most unique. And there was this one place that totally caught our attention with all these beautiful, colorful displayed jewelry. The owner was so nice too. They even let us film a quick video showing off their amazing collection. Inside, it was just stepping into a rainbow. The shop was bursting with colors and textures, with racks of colorful clothes and jewelry displayed that made my eyes pop. Exploring the place was such a treat. Checking out all the beautiful designs and chatting with the owner about how they make everything. It was like they took all these old-fashioned buildings and jazzed them up with this modern twist. Seriously, it was like one of those stops on our trip that we'll remember for a long time. And all around there were these beautiful old school houses which just looked so beautiful. Walking around was such a delight, getting to see these beautiful and colorful houses, just amazing. There were people just minding their own business, walking dogs and doing just shopping, which was super cool. I was enjoying a lot, and it looks like that puppy was too. The puppy was just so cute walking around and exploring the place. Not gonna lie, dogs listen to their owners pretty well, which we cat owners don't get to have, because cats like to do their own thing. If you're wondering why Tiger isn't here, well, it isn't really easy to take care of a pet while you're on a road trip. So this time he's staying home. As we kept wandering around the old wooden houses, we suddenly found this adorable shop full of all sorts of magnets and souvenirs. The shop itself was really something, with its wooden font all covered up and painted super bright. The shop was packed with magnets showing off local landmarks, symbols, and some really quirky designs that totally captured the city's vibe. After that, we were awestruck by the row of colorful wooden houses lining in the narrow streets. Some were painted in happy yellows, while others were really cool mix of blues. And there were all these awesome art things scattered around too. Like there was this huge horse painted in bright blues and reds. And then we also spotted this vintage motorcycle parked by this little cute cafe. The bike looked all weathered, like it had been a ton of adventures back in the day. My brother couldn't resist. He had to get some pictures next to it. And before heading back to our car, we got caught up watching these local street cats doing their thing. After we checked out those cute little wooden houses, we headed over the Porsuk stream. This major spot in Eskişehir is known as the city's heartbeat. The stream winds its way through the town and the water is so clear you can see right through it. So guys, this city is called Venice of Turkey because of this point. Check it out. The lake is reflecting all the lively stuff around it. As we got closer, it seriously took our breaths away. The water flowing gently, surrounded by all this lush greenery and these adorable little bridges that makes everything look so pretty. You can totally tell why this stream is like the symbol of beauty and peace in Eskişehir that everyone loves to come and see. Around the place there were also a lot of markets. As we kept wandering along the stream, we got so soaked in the super lively vibe of the square nearby. It was totally buzzing with people doing stuff like hanging out, shopping, and checking out some of the city's landmarks. It was just a perfect place to just chill out and watch people getting a real feel of everyday life in Eskişehir. Down by the stream, there's all kind of stuff to do that makes it even more awesome. Even though we couldn't go on the boats that day, we had a blast just walking along the path by the water, checking out all the cool sculptures and artwork they've got set up there. They've got these crazy metal statues showing off water and nature scenes that are like pieces of art just chilling out there. And they're not just there to look pretty, they're also celebrating the history of water in Eskişehir and showing off how artistic and cultural the city is. After all that, we decided to go towards our hotel. And on the way, we also decided to take a detour and visit the Ulus Meydani in Eskişehir. This bustling square is known for its vibrant atmosphere and rich historical significance. Ulus Meydani, often referred as the Nation Square, serves as a central gathering point for locals and tourists alike. The square is surrounded by an elegant mix of modern and historical buildings, offering a unique blend of old world. One of the most striking features of the Ulus Meydan is this impressive Atatürk monument, dedicated to Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the founder of modern Turkey. This statue stands tall and majestic, capturing the essence of Atatürk's leadership and enduring legacy. Around the monument, the square is filled with vibrant flowers, well-maintained gardens, and bustling cafes. After that, we also passed through the Kılıç Lunapark, which was bustling with energy and excitement despite the late hours. It felt like the whole new day had just started over there, with all the lights, rides, and laughter filling the air. We were really tempted to join into the fun, but we were super tired from the long day of exploration, so we decided to skip the amusement park and head straight towards our hotel for a nice and peaceful night rest. Okay, so as we wrap up our awesome day of exploration in Eskişehir, we're heading towards our hotel, the Hilton Garden. It's right smack dab in the middle of everything, and let me just tell you, it's a perfect place to chill after a full day of fun. Walking into Hilton Garden feels like stepping into a cozy place. The lobby is super spacious, decorated really nicely, and kind of feels luxurious. So guys, now we have checked in, and now let's go towards our room. Here's the card, let's go! So now let me give you guys a room tour. It's seriously impressive. It's really huge with all the latest stuff you'd want. So the toilet is pretty spacious, as you can see, and all the essential things right over there. Okay, so let's check out the beds. Oh, they're a total dreamland. Seriously, I could just melt into those pillows. And here's the closet with an iron. Okay, so now let's check out the view. And not gonna lie, the view is pretty good. The whole city is buzzing below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't yet to show your support. I really do love sharing these experiences with all you, so stay tuned for more travels and cool stuff. Until next time, it's me, Aisha Wahid, signing off.